Most entrepreneurs, when they're first starting out, they think that the hardest thing will be to start getting sales. And that once they cross over that $1 million of revenue, that things will be just so cozy and easy. Unfortunately, this is not the case at all, and we had to learn the hard way. So in this video, we will go through the 5 deadly mistakes that actually even established brands make, and you must avoid at all costs if you don't want this to run you into the ground. Let's go.
Let's rewind about 10 years, the journey of getting started from, it's been a long roller coaster. We often joke, only you and I will know the roller coaster that's been. But about 5 years ago, we had a big shift in the business where things were going well.
Actually really well.
And then suddenly until they weren't.
And then suddenly there was a little dip, right? And we thought, oh, this is just a dip, this is just temporary.
Yeah, except it got worse, and we were praying for it to go back to the way it was.
Yes.
But of course, things never go back to the way that they were.
Things never come back to the way they were. And at some point we had a team of 6. Our expenses were crazy high.
We were bleeding money basically.
We were bleeding about 30 grand every single month and not making the changes fast enough. Thinking once again
that we're going to go back.
That things will just magically improve.
It's kind of like during the COVID stuff, people thought it's going to go back to how it was before
Yes.
COVID, but things rarely go back to how they were.
Things really go back.
We just keep moving forward. So with that said, let's get into the 5 big mistakes.
Exactly, because these mistakes cost us at least 200 grand in expenses.
Yes, plus the opportunity costs.
Plus the opportunity costs are giant. So I think these are really worthwhile digging into for everybody out there.
So let's start with number 5, the number 5 mistake.
Yes, because we're going to go from the smallest one to the most deadly.
Yes.
So the least deadly, the number 5.
The least deadly of the deadly mistakes is about the ideal customer, understanding your ideal customer, the avatar.
Yes.
Who you're actually marketing to, who you're selling to.
Exactly, and we talked about the ideal avatar over and over and over. So I just want to point out how this is very different when we're talking about established brands versus new brands.
Yes.
Because when you are starting out, you need to be super specific of who that one ideal customer is.
So are you saying that my audience is women aged 30 to 60 and I'm selling fashion? Yeah. That's not specific enough.
That's not specific enough, but we talked about this on the channel, you know, till cows come home. So I don't want to deep dive on that. I really want to deep dive on how important it is to make a shift for brands who are already established. Right? So when you're a new brand, sure, you have to go super specific, but then you're turning over $1 million a year. And then suddenly you need to look at, hang on a minute, in order for me to grow, and not just grow, but actually sustain my business, I need 2 things. I need volume and I need value. And most brands out there, when they first get in, they pick an avatar who's either doing the volume or doing the value. Right? So you're either doing the avatar that's easy to sell to, but they buy small transactions, or you pick the high-end avatar who perhaps doesn't buy. It's probably not so easy to sell to, but when they do buy, oh boy, they buy a lot. Big purchase, Yeah, and in order to grow your established brand and avoid a deadly mistake, you've got to target both, because otherwise there is going to be fluctuation in the market like we've seen over the years. And there is one thing that is for sure in e-commerce, is the change is always coming.
The only constant is that there's going to be change.
Yes. And that the tech tools will be coming and going, and there'll be, huge spikes and shifts.
Yes, not just the tools, everything about it, the platforms,
Exactly, market shifts, market changes, what people want and need completely changes. So if you are an established brand turning over more than $1 million a year, or even I would say even more than $500,000 a year, and you don't have at least 2 different avatars where one of them is the volume and the other one is value, then
that's a deadly mistake. Let's move on to number 4, which is not reinventing your offer.
Exactly, not reinventing your offer. That's huge. That's huge, because once again, it's great to have a core bestseller, but a lot of people forget the difference between a product and an offer. And they think like, oh, offer is the same cup, the same microphone, oh, it's just 15% off.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Yeah, I think people, it's discounting.
That's discounting. That's nothing to do with
people, another common one we hear all the time is like offer is doing 2 for 1 or free shipping.
Yeah,
these are not offers.
These are not offer. Yeah. Offer is complete repositioning of what you are selling, why they should buy. and why they should buy now. And I find that established brands that have a core offer that's selling well, they just want to keep selling more and more and more and more of that.
Keep flogging that horse, right? Yeah.
But
we've been there.
We've been there. And a high five, not a high five. Not so proud.
Yeah.
But okay, we've done that so that you guys don't have to.
Yes. We're not perfect. We've made some mistakes.
Oh, so many. Oh my God. But anyway, the reinventing the offer is so crucially important to sell the same types of products that you have from completely different angles. Why? Because in order to keep growing, your expenses will be growing, and so you want to make sure that once again you are touching on different touch points of what your different customers want and need. So let's say you've got an email list, which a lot of established brands have email lists of 100,000 subscribers or more.
Yeah, or even a few thousand. Some brands have not been so good online.
Or even a few thousand. But the problem is that most of these subscribers have not actually transacted with you.
Yes.
That's just a marketing fact.
There's more non-buyers on the list than there are buyers.
Exactly.
Usually.
And if you keep sending them the same offer over and over and over and over, then they first of all gonna stop opening your emails.
Yes.
They're gonna stop clicking on them, and then they will also feel like, well, these people are just selling the same thing.
Yeah.
And I can get it anytime.
Yeah.
And anytime usually means no
Never.
time.
Yeah.
And so the average transaction per customer plus the number of customers just goes down.
Then people lose, as you said, like they won't even open the emails anymore.
Yes.
And that's even worse. We won't go into it now, but for email marketing, if you're sending a bunch of emails that no one's opening, I don't know how to do that's a...
You could do that one.
That's a different deadly mistake. We won't even talk about it now, but you don't want to be doing that.
You don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
But the really important reason what most business owners don't understand when they are not yet at the $1 million mark yet is that the expenses just keep growing because you have to hire more people.
Yes.
There is going to be more waste in the process. There is going to be things like approvals, right? Because when you are starting out, you just like do things your own and you launch it and boom, let's go.
Yeah.
But suddenly when there is team, there is hierarchy.
Even technology costs, you think that, we just automate more things, but all those automations cost money.
And suddenly you're gonna jump in the brackets like what was freemium before. Suddenly it's gonna be $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 per month.
Yeah.
And then it just compounds. So the profitability is very important.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say you've got to keep reinventing your offer, period.
And just to make this practical, let's talk about a quick example of a brand that has or has not reinvented its offer.
Or how to reinvent an offer. So for example, let's say you sell supplements for weight loss. Okay, this could be an example. And you keep selling the supplements in a certain way to a certain avatar. Repositioning that offer means that you can take the same supplements that you have, but take different factors or benefits or features and spin it around to offer different value to the customer. Okay, so for example, there could be a customer that wants to lose weight, but there could be a similar customer that is more emotionally connected to, for example, clearing their skin. Mm-hmm. Now that supplement can do both, but chances are that both of these are not going to emotionally touch and cut through to the same customer, because one of these benefits or features will be a nice to have.
Yes.
And so you take the feature or you take the benefit and you zoom in absolutely 100% and you make it a must have.
So just to clarify, it's the same product, but the features, benefits, the emotional story, the examples we zoom in on are different for each one.
And then you can package in a different way and put it into a different bundle as well, or you can make it, and him and her offer.
Yes.
Right? All of these kind of things.
I just had a thought of an example on the gadget side of things. Like you buy a camera, like a sports camera for underwater filming or something like that. And then they have the kit by itself. They have the adventure kit for an adventure person. They have the hiking kit for the hiking person.
Yes,
they have the water sports kit. It's the same camera, but
it's the same camera packaged in a different way. And it's like, ooh, I'm an adventurous person.
Yeah.
Or I might not be, I want to be.
Yeah, or I'm the vlogger kid. I'm going to be a vlogger.
I'm not right now, but I want to be.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Number 3, which is having too much repeat business. Can you really have too much repeat business?
You can have too much repeat business.
Tell me more.
Established brands I speak to, typically the conversation starts like this, super proud, our repeat business is at over 30%. And like, I'm not trying to discount the effort that went into that. It means the product is amazing. It means the customer service is amazing. It means that they have a great fit in terms of the customer. But the problem with too much repeat business, once again speaking of established brands that have made over half or ideally over $1 million, is that too much repeat business, all that means is that your pie is shrinking. Because repeat business is nothing else but a percentage of the new business that's coming in. And so a lot of brands, and this was us too,
yes.
When you're first starting out, you are growing and growing and growing and growing, and therefore the chunk of repeat business is small, is maybe like 5%, 6%, 8%, But then as you hit, let's say, the $1 million mark, and you expect to be growing, but suddenly your repeat business is increasing, you think that you are the pimp shit thing,
Because you've got that email list who keeps hitting the same offers to the same people.
And you think that's a great thing because your revenue temporarily still keeps growing.
Yeah.
And so your numbers one, you are like, look at me, how amazing I am. But wait 6 months in.
Yeah.
6 months in, suddenly there will be a dip and you're not gonna know why.
Yeah.
And there will be a bigger dip and bigger dip and bigger dip, and then suddenly your conversion rate will go down. And that's purely because when your repeat business goes above 20%, alarm. It's like, what is the expression? Be alerted but not alarmed.
Yes, be alert, not alarmed. Yes.
Yeah, be alert, not alarmed. No, be alarmed. This is the other way around. So definitely for big growing businesses, if you're an established brand, you want to keep an eye on the number, sweet spot around 20%, but you always want to be getting those fresh customers in so that it doesn't go beyond that too much.
Yeah, I think another good way, a leading indicator to see how we're doing is like measuring the number of people or leads or prospects that you have on your email list. Mm-hmm. If that email list is not growing and you're just getting that repeat business from the same pool of people, you really need to be growing the pool.
You need to be growing the pool, that's true.
And the email list, I think, can be a good indicator
true.
Is the pool growing or not
That
growing.
is true. However, there could be fluctuation of traffic where you are getting a new flow of emails in, but they might not necessarily be the buyers.
That's true.
And remember, as your business is growing, you will start getting a lot of crap leads onto your email list.
Yeah, as the avatar gets a bit broader and cooler.
And suddenly your message is more out there, and therefore it's also being shared on media where they're not necessarily buyers in there.
Yeah, so you're just reaching more people, you're having more impressions, but the click-through is always going to drop on the
Yes,
bigger
conversion will always drop as you're growing.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Let's move on to number 2.
And this is the big one already.
Yeah, that's true. Number 2 is the second biggest one, right?
Second biggest one. This can be so deadly.
It's a deadly one, and we've been guilty of this one.
Guys, this one almost like double.
This is 6 letters. It's CLV, CAC. The CLV to CAC, customer lifetime value, in proportion relation to the cost of acquisition.
Yes, and this is Kristen's baby.
It's my favorite one. So this is all about what is the value of the customers that they're bringing to you? How much
over
are they spending
lifetime?
Over the lifetime. So if you're selling a t-shirt, they might buy a t-shirt one time, but then they might buy another one and another one and another one over the course of a year or 2 years or 3 years. So you want to know what is the average customer lifetime value, how much money we're going to get from our customers on an average basis, versus how much did it cost to actually acquire those customers, because rarely is it free.
Yes. And also we have to pay the acquisition cost up front.
Yes.
While the customer lifetime value takes a while. So a lot of businesses calculate the lifetime value only within 12 months period.
Yeah. So it's a good example. If we talk about paid advertising, just because it's easy to calculate.
Yes.
Free advertising, like, it's not really that free. Like, you have to put it, there's a cost to it. But let's talk about paid advertising because it's direct.
Yes.
Let's say we spend $20 to acquire a customer.
Yes.
And then they buy something for $20. So we've got a 20 customer lifetime value right now because that's all they've spent, and we spent 20. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. This is not a good ratio. We're not going to be making money with this ratio. So we need this ratio to be nice and high. Ideally, we want it to be 10 to 1 or more, because that means that we're making money in the business.
Yes.
And we've been in a place where our cost to acquire the customer
was greater
than the customer lifetime value, which is a deadly mistake.
It's crazy deadly. And also, when you're thinking about CLV to CAC ratio, always think about selling things at a too low value point, okay?
Yes,
or
that's a good point, yeah.
Thinking about the average order value, because a lot of businesses out there want to sell. Once again, we're going back to volume and value. A lot of businesses out there are like, oh, I just want to be the volume business.
Yes.
But sometimes being the volume business, it might cost you just as much to be selling widgets for $5.
Yes.
Then it's going to cost you to be selling more premium products for $500.
Yes, so like that cost to acquire the customer could be the same, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And therefore the ratio is dramatically different.
Yes. Now, the other reason why CLV to CAC ratio could be low is when a conversion rate is really low.
Yes.
And when a conversion rate is really low, what it means is that the offer you've put in front of that person is just not a good fit.
Yes.
It's not sexy enough for that person.
Yes, it's the wrong offer for the wrong audience sometimes.
Exactly. So you need to think about who is the audience and what am I putting in front of that audience. And often we find that this is a crazy deadly mistake for established businesses, because we find that when they start going through the fluctuation, they don't realize what the heck is going on, because you are like in it, right?
Yes.
It's like the frog.
Yes, the boiling frog.
The boiling frog doesn't know it's being boiled.
Yes.
And so at that point, you're running a lot of paid advertisement and you are just spending too much time and money optimizing all of these paid channels and paying more to those channels, thinking that that was going to bring a return on investment, whether it's influencers or any paid ads on any of these things, and you just focus on it so much that you realize that actually I'm not putting enough time into positioning and hot offer that those people who I already have on my mailing list and those people that I'm putting this offer in front of will buy like hotcakes, plus they're going to come back to my store and buy all I've got. Yeah,
this is a big mistake. Many brands we've seen spend a lot of energy on just optimizing the cost of the ads. My ads are expensive, my ads are expensive, my ads are expensive. But it could be that the ad's not expensive, the ads are just what the ads cost is, but the customer lifetime value is simply too low.
Exactly. And this is one of the things, one of the amazing many things that we learned from our mentor Russell Brunson, is that it always comes back to hook, story and offer.
Yes.
And that when you are having a really low CLV to CAC ratio, so the lifetime value over the cost of acquisition, you either have the wrong hook for the wrong audience, you are not positioning it emotionally the right way, or the offer is just purely either not high value enough or not sexy enough for the audience.
Yes.
Super deadly mistake.
Deadly mistake. But there's one more.
And can I just add one more thing to the CLV to CAC ratio?
Yes.
This mistake, it probably took over a year for us to really realize what the F is going on.
Yes.
And at some point, we went from having a whole team functioning really well, all of this, the expenses were high at that point, to trading $2,000 per month.
Yeah.
And that is ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. Luckily we dug ourselves out of it, but just. And because we let it go for so freaking long that we were so boiling in that water that
because we were hoping for it to go back
that I honestly am just thanking the universe, the divine supreme God, that we managed to get out of that, because this is the point where most established brands just have to close the shop.
Yeah, that's right.
So I just want to add that guys, this is serious. Once again, might not concern you if you're a new business, but if you're an established brand, this is serious. Yeah,
it's one thing to get the business going, it's another to keep it going. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's move on to the biggest one, the biggest killer of them all, and that is, drum roll, the single leg table. dependence on one source.
The single source of traffic,
yes.
specifically.
Yes.
This is a crazy deadly mistake. So I find the more I speak to established brands, each of these brands has like one thing where it really does well for them, you know.
Yes.
I spoke to an established brand just recently and they were like, you know what, we're really great because like Facebook is doing so great for us and it's like now delivering 10 to 1 return on ad spend. Amazing.
That's been us in the past too.
And that was us in the past too. We're like, but they're like, but something is going on and I don't know what it is. And I'm like, okay. Then the next business owner I spoke to literally just last week, he was like, his business, by the way, is already going backwards. And he's like, well, I just shove money down influencers' throats because that worked well before. And when he told me how much money he's paying influencers, I was like, oh my God.
A big number.
I was like, oh my God, no. And so then I spoke to another business owner who was like, well, we're giant on TikTok because TikTok is like delivering for us, and so we're doing that.
Every brand we've spoken to, they're strong on usually one platform more than the others.
Or they could be like organic search or or referral from partners.
Yeah.
And what we find is that this is extremely deadly. Why? Because in online marketing, as we know, there's always fluctuation. And things will be shifting and changing. For example, what we've already seen over the last 10 years is that having followers on social media used to be a currency.
Yes.
Now it's not a currency.
Yes.
You can easily get the same exposure if you have 1 million followers or 20,000.
Yes.
Or even 5,000. What we also seen over the times is that Google organic search makes an update roughly like
a few times a year.
Times a year.
2 big ones a year usually. Sometimes there's more. Yeah.
What we've seen is a new influx of platforms such as TikTok.
It's the classic pattern is a new platform comes along, everyone jumps onto the bandwagon. They give brands and advertisers a ton of free impressions, free traffic, free views to get people hooked to the platform.
They get dependent on that.
Then they get dependent on it, and then they say, now you got to pay, and then the reach and everything drops through the floor.
Exactly. And then the algorithm changes, and the same was with Facebook groups and SEO and email marketing. Suddenly there are different rules to email marketing on what goes to what inboxes and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so whatever your source of traffic is, once again, this doesn't concern small businesses, but if you're an established brand and you don't have multiple sources of traffic that deliver sales to your store consistently and predictably, then that's an absolute killer.